Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you in another video. All right, so the score was 112-105. The Lakers lose game 3 to go down 0-3 against the Denver Nuggets at home. And, this game was pretty much like the first one, where we were up by 12 and, kind of started giving it back in the second quarter a little bit. Third quarter came out, played horribly, and never recovered. But if you look at the stats in this game, the statistical story that this game tells is almost as deflating and as devastating as the last second shot that we got hit with in game 2. We won. We had the exact same field goals attempted and made as the Denver Nuggets. We were a 1% better from the three. They hit 5 threes out of, like, I don't remember, 18. We hit 5 threes out of 19 or something like that. Both teams shot horribly from behind the arc. I don't remember exactly how many attempts there were, but that's kind of how it went. We hit 5, they hit 5. They attempted a few more, that kind of thing. We had more fast break points. We had more points in the paint. We had less turnovers. But we got killed on the boards, and they hit their free throws. They had 19 free throws hit. We had 12 free throws hit. They attempted a few more, but that is where they won the game, at the free throw line. That's literally where they won the game, in their attempts and makes. The entire deficit that we had comes from them making free throws and us missing free throws. And then the rest is rebounds. Gordon, Jokic, and Porter. Just as we've talked about many times before the series even started, we talked about how we were going to need to put size on the floor whether we liked it or not, because if we didn't, those three were going to kill us on the boards with their size. We said this, and that Darvin Ham was going to have to use Jackson Hayes, and he was going to have to not go small, and he did, and we got smashed on the boards real bad. Gordon is the player of the game for me. He gets the game ball. God knows how many points he had, but he had 15 boards. Jokic had 15 boards. Porter had 10. And that's what the statistical story tells you. That you got beat on the boards by a lot. Offensive rebounds especially. I think they had like 14 offensive rebounds or something like that. That's it. That's the God's honest truth, you guys. As poorly as we shot a little better than them. Field goals, the exact same attempts and makes. We had them everywhere except for on the boards and with free throws made and attempted. I'm just demoralized, man. I tell you the truth. 11 straight times we've lost to this Denver Nuggets team, and the way our third quarter went was just as embarrassing as the last two. We came out of the locker room and stood around. I've listened to so many Laker analysts, so many basketball minds talk about how it is so important the Lakers move around the perimeter. Don't just stand still, because it allows the help defense to hone in on whoever has the ball. And wouldn't you know, this team did that tonight for almost the entire third quarter. Just stood around. Got the ball to one person and everybody else stands around, and the defense gets to hone in on them. That's all we did for a good portion of the third quarter, until about the 4-minute mark, when we decided to start attacking the rim again. In the first half, we were attacking like crazy. Even though nobody was hitting threes, we were attacking. Layup, 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 drive, free throw, drive, all types of movement. And then we came out of that locker room in that third quarter and stood. And then on the defensive end, you just saw us without any chance of rebounding the basketball. I think the Lakers have a legitimate excuse with Vanderbilt and Wood not being available. That would have helped a lot. But you didn't give Jackson Hayes a single minute. You didn't give Max Christie a single minute. And those are your best rebounders available that you didn't use. Those were the guys that were going to help you on the boards tonight. You needed Jackson Hayes and Anthony Davis on the floor at the same time to offset the size difference. And you would have gotten those boards. You would have gotten them. Jackson Hayes didn't play well in the last game, according to the analysts. But I could argue that's because he's been given up on. He was playing great until we decided to remove him out of the lineup 2 games before the season ended. Inexplicably, for pretty much no damn reason. Last time I saw Jackson Hayes play any length of time, he was playing great. But Darvin just has things pop in his head. I guess he wakes up in the morning and yawns and just said, man, I don't trust Jackson Hayes. I don't trust Max Christie. Like, that's how that works. It ain't no real evidence or anything that actually happens that we see that makes him give up on these guys. It just pops in his head, it seems to me, at random. Maybe he sees something in practice that he doesn't like. Maybe they said something to him he didn't like. But he just be giving up on people and believing in people at random. It doesn't back up nothing that you see. None of it really has any rhyme or reason. It's absolute randomness. Not firing that coach was a crippling mistake. It really was. It was a crippling mistake for our franchise. It demoralized our team and ultimately left us without enough each and every time against the same team we got swept by last year, against the same team that we've lost to every time we've seen them since 2022. It is now 2024, you guys. 11 straight losses to the same basketball club. In the same fashion, we have had leads in all of those games. In these playoffs, we have had double-digit leads in each of these games. Game 1, a 10-point lead. Game 2, a 20-point lead. Game 3, a 12-point lead. And have lost all of those games. I don't even know what to say, man. You want me to tell you what the stats were as far as these individual players? I honestly couldn't tell you. I do know one thing. D'Angelo Russell didn't score a single damn point tonight. In 24 minutes of play, he was 0 for every damn thing he shot. Austin Reeves had a nice game tonight. He bounced back pretty strong. Some of his points came in garbage time, but I thought he played a pretty solid game. Attacking. This was a better Austin game than I've seen in a couple of games, so I was pretty happy with him. Anthony Davis I think he had like 33 points, 15 boards, but he needed 2 other people to have double-digit boards to try to match what Denver was doing. But we missed a lot of free throws, man. Bron, AD, that's where you really honestly lost the game. Is really just missing free throws. Those were the points you needed. Denver hit theirs. Those were the points that they won by. It's that simple. And you'll never see Denver shoot that poorly from behind the arc again. Never in life. They've had an awful shooting series for their standards. And still managed to be a 3-0, have a 3-0 advantage here. Gabe Vincent, I think, gave you like 8 points or something like that. Spencer Dinwiddie. No, that might have been... Our bench had 8, 7, and 4. Whoever had whatever, I don't remember. I think it was Taurean Prince hit a 3. He contributed to the 3-point shooting. Thought he played okay. Pretty good defense in the first half. I think it was Gabe Vincent who had 8 points, but it might have been Spencer. I don't know which one of them dudes had 8 points. The other had 4, I believe it was. But our bench production limited to those 3 players, and that was it, man. That was what it was. Rui Hachimura is having a terrible series. He really lost me with this series, man. I don't know what happened to that dude. I really don't. 5 points tonight or something like that. I don't know what the hell happened there. Rui and D'Lo really gave us nothing tonight. And I could give him a pass for doing that in altitude, but coming back home You lost me with that. I don't know what the hell happened there, man, but I won't forget it. I'm not happy about it. And guys are just setting themselves up to be understood as players who could play in the regular season, but not in the playoffs, man. D'Lo and Rui. I mean, they're nowhere to be found. And that's something that we couldn't afford. Man, we just couldn't afford that. So I don't know what happened to Rui Hachimura in this series, but he's been off all 3 of these games. And D'Angelo Russell, man, I'm glad he was able to hit his 7 or 8 threes in game 2, so he could at least say that he played well in that game. But I don't think he shook off the reputation of somebody who disappears in these playoffs. We got nothing tonight from this man. He was an 0 for gopher, man. And on nights where he goes for 30 and 40 points, we win every game. When he's like this, we lose the game. We cannot afford to live and die with this player anymore. I get it. The trade may not have been available to make it at the trade deadline, so I'm not sitting here saying we should have made a trade just to be making a trade. But as you can clearly see, relying on him to be your third star is not good enough to win a championship. However you slice it. If you need 25 to 30 points from him in order to win, you can lose. You could count on yourself losing. That's what's going to happen. Because he's not reliable. This is a better bet than him going for 7 threes. This crap right here, this 0 for 8 or whatever this was tonight. This is a better bet. You can count on that. LeBron going 1 for 6 from behind the arc. I told you guys, the Denver Nuggets are doing a great job of understanding that we love to drive and get to the line. So they packed the paint. You know, they did a good job packing the paint, and we needed threes to fall, and they didn't. We needed free throws to fall if the threes weren't falling, and they didn't. We were pressing the issue in the first half, but in the second half, we stopped. And that's when it all fell apart. In the third quarter, like it always does, man. Darvin Ham's choices and timeouts and when he chose to use his challenges, things like that, I don't know, man. I just want him gone, bro. I don't even give a damn no more. Honestly, I've been telling you guys his coach is not very good for 2 years now. It ain't nothing new. I don't even blame him for his own mistakes. I blame the front office that didn't fire him. He is what he is, man. He's the worst coach in basketball. Maybe one of the worst of all time. Bottom 5 for sure. He's one of the worst coaches I've ever seen, man. Honestly. It's at a point at this point where we have 2 full seasons of Darvin Ham, and he's no good at this. He's just not good at this, man. Some people are really good at what they do, others are not. He is not good at coaching basketball teams. He's just not. I'm not good at playing basketball. Darvin's no good at coaching it. It just is what it is. I'm just gonna be honest. It's not deeper than that. You gotta fire the coach and bring in somebody who's good at their job, man. And I'm not saying anything that any other Laker fan ain't saying. Everybody's saying the same thing. We all see it. We all see it. And if we had a good coach, we wouldn't have these problems. Period. I saw a moment that Austin Reeves had with Phil Handy. I'd love to know what he was telling Phil. In my mind, the way I imagine it, he was telling Phil, we want it so bad for you to take over this team. We know we would have won if you were running things. That's what I was telling myself Austin was telling Phil. That's what I was telling myself. We couldn't overcome that dude. And if you lose your job, it ain't because you deserve to, Phil. It's just because you were attached to that guy, unfortunately. It's the truth, man. Worst coaches in NBA right now. And he drug us down with him, man. All his choices, all the things that he woke up in the morning believing in, all the stuff that he didn't believe in, all of it, leaning on mediocrity, all of it. It led up to where we are right now. Down 0-3 to the same damn team he can never defeat. It is what it is. And if only this were the only team. It's not. Because he can't beat Sacramento either. So, LeBron James, if you don't want to be a Laker no more after Saturday's game, I don't blame you, bro. I think you would be in a good position elsewhere with a better set of things going on around you, man. Not to say that you played a perfect game tonight. I thought this was not a great Bron game, but in year 21, your organization's not supposed to fail you this bad, man. And the Lakers organization and front office failed LeBron James miserably. They did. They should have done a lot better in a lot of different areas, and we all know it. And over the course of these last 6-7 years, they ain't done enough to put a real team around this man. And some of the decisions they made crippled them. That Russell Westbrook trade crippled them. Now, if this was LeBron James' choice, they should have vetoed it. Shouldn't have been done. But we're still trying to recover from that. And we failed to. If anybody really wants to know what really went wrong there, it was a combination of hiring Darvin Ham and trading for Russell Westbrook that we just never recovered from. It's God's honest truth. I don't know, man. I don't know, but there needs to be some trades in the offseason, some moves made, some people fired, man. I don't even want to talk about how irritating it is to have to accept my fate when I know I've lost to the same team 11 straight times, bro. 11 straight times. It should be absolutely fine if Genie cleans house and rebuilds entirely, bro, because these people are not it. Now, if you want to keep a few of them, I'm fine with keeping a few people. But the majority of this unit, what makes this unit what it is, needs to go. Starting with the head coach. This is not something you try to, do again. Or just bring one or two people to and say we can do this. And maybe injuries. No, injuries didn't do this to you. I want to make it very clear. Rob Pelinka, injuries didn't do this to you. If you would have had those injured players, you still would have lost this series. Gabe Vincent, Vanderbilt, and Christian Wood are not saving you from this type of ineptitude, man. He would have put the wrong people on the floor any damn way. It's God's honest truth. Ham wouldn't have put the right rotations on the floor if he had that many options. Anthony Davis had a fantastic season. He should have never been asked to guard some of the people he was asked to guard. It made him look worse than he had to look. I want to make it very clear, he should have never been asked to guard Jokic ever. He should have never. He's been telling us he's a 4 for 3-4 years. And we never allowed him to be the 4 because we always want him to run the 5 in these small ball lineups with these badass coaches. I am not mad at Anthony Davis. I would have loved for Anthony Davis to, be able to overcome this. But to be honest with you, he's been great all year. And a lot of what went wrong is because of how this team was constructed around him. Just being honest. It's a lot of people going to be mad at Anthony Davis for this or maybe that, but not me, not today. I thought he was great today. I thought he was great all series long. He's been fantastic all series long. And if he had a real team that was built to cater to help him the way he's supposed to be, he would have been dominating this series. But with the stuff he had around him, there was no way for him to dominate this series. Not even playing as perfect as he did in the first half of the last game, or as good as he did tonight with 33 points, 15 boards. He was never given enough by this front office, and that coach. He voiced his opinion. I don't even have to say nothing. He told you what it was. I may not agree that he did it, but I didn't disagree with the statement. They don't know what they're doing on both sides of the floor, and it showed in a lot of cases. Darvin can disagree. I would expect him to disagree. It doesn't mean he's right. So there's that. Gabe Vincent made me pretty happy. I like Gabe Vincent. In the last few games of the season, he's looked really good. I thought his ball movement is what stood out the most, and his defense and his hustle. I'm not going to be mad to see him back next year fresh off of the knee injury. We got enough out of him this year to know what he can bring us. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing what he looks like in a cohesive situation next season. Healthy, with a smart team around him, I think he could contribute a lot off the bench. Spencer Dinwiddie was never given an opportunity to be himself. He was asked to be someone else by a coach that just never used him right. That's what I see with Spencer. I can't even judge Spencer by this. I don't think we actually saw Spencer but maybe 2 games. All the other times we asked him to be Reggie Bullock, like he said. It's a product of Darvin's ineptitude, quite honestly. Never actually being able to see what Spencer Dinwiddie was, because every time we saw him, he was usually in rotations with players that were just as small as him, or in situations where he was never actually on the floor to do the things that he's been doing in this league for the last 10 years. Max Christie, I think Max Christie would be happy somewhere else. I would be happy if he came back, but not to be benched by this coach. Not to be benched by this coach for whatever reasons that Darvin decided. Man, Max Christie would have helped us in these playoffs if we would have utilized him all season long. He would have been fully developed at this point, rebounding the ball, dunking the ball, hitting jump shots, catch and shoot, navigating around screens, blocking shots. He would have been doing so much productive stuff for us if we would have just given him 15 minutes a game for 82 games this season. He would have been an intricate part of what we were doing right now, and probably our best player off of the bench. If Darvin Ham would have put the emphasis on him that he put on his friend Taurean Prince, we would have developed this kid into something very good this year. Instead, Max Christie's year, his development is a year behind because he barely played this season. And that's what happens when you keep a bad coach around. They don't develop your players. Instead, they play old guys. Player development is something that they don't feel is their responsibility. They'd rather just say they don't believe in the player and then proceed to let a guy who's been in the league for a very long time do the same old stuff he's always done, because it makes their job easier even though they lose when they do it. We've seen this many times all over the league. Darvin is not unique in that way. Gotta hit your free throws, guys. That's what this game came down to, man. You gotta hit your free throws. We've been a pretty good free throw shooting team this year, but tonight we did not hit them, and it really was a difference. You like I said, you can't count on some of this other stuff. Darvin's gonna put small ball rotations on the floor to hurt your rebounding situation and let Gordon and Porter and Jokic rebound over your team. You may not hit the 3 ball at all. We hit 5 of them as a unit. You may not be able to do a lot of things, but once you step yourself to that line, you had better take the free ones. And on a night like tonight, that really was the difference. We could have overcome D-Lo and rebounding and all that if we would have hit our free throws. And Rui, I don't want to forget about Rui's ineptitude. He was bad. They're not going to talk as much about Rui as they probably will D-Lo, but Rui's really hurt us, man. And I really believe it was because he was asked to do too much in this series on the defensive end and not giving the ball in some of his spots. And when he did catch the ball, he was really trying to do stuff that just wasn't intelligent. I thought his underdevelopment really shined in this series, driving at people who were standing still, taking bad contested shots instead of making passes that should have been made to make the life easier on him. You just can't play stupid against the Denver Nuggets, bro. I hate to single out Rui in that way because I really like Rui as a player, but his lack of basketball IQ really was on display, and they were able to capitalize on all of his mistakes. Defensively, not being in the right position. Offensively, not having floor vision. All of that was the problem, man. He has a lot of development to do, and he's going to have to really work on those things, man. He's going to have to work on those things. If he wants to take a step in the next level, he's going to have to get better at some basketball stuff. You could be a great shooter and be able to pull up and have laser-focused vision and all that, but you can't be robotic out there, and you can't be lost defensively. You can't be, out of position, all that stuff. He's going to have to really work on it this year. And if he does, I think improvement will come. But it's up to him. This is still early in his career. He's a developing player. He didn't get a whole lot of minutes with the Washington Wizards. Washington Max Christie'd him, basically. And injuries kind of robbed him of his development. And this is why I say it's so important that we play Max Christie, because it's the type of start you get off to, and then you get into a team where they need you to play bigger roles and you haven't developed properly. I was listening to J. Cole mention a player that we have on our team right now, who never got an opportunity, Cam Reddish. He was saying something along the lines of Cam Reddish never got a chance to develop. And I was thinking, yeah, it's true. You get off to a bad start, you get a couple injuries, you get a couple coaches that don't believe in you, and you actually end up being a 5-year, 6-year guy who hasn't never developed and never given an opportunity to develop. It's so true, man. And I don't want to see that happen to Max Christie. I don't want to see that happen to Rui Hachimura. So this is another reason why it's so very important that we start getting rid of some of these old coaches that have this idea about not playing young players, man. They really stumped the growth of some of our tomorrow's role players, tomorrow's stars. They never get off to the right start because they had these idiot coaches that want to continue to play guys that've been in the league for 20 years, man. I'm sorry. It's out with the old. I do not believe we need to get a coach with experience. I think we need to get a coach with a brain, an intelligent one, that is up for both player development and player management, rotations and timeout, IQ and stuff like that. I don't really care to bring back a Doc Rivers and nothing like that. Them dudes, nah. Bring me somebody who's a hot shot in this sport that knows how to run a play and do things that are intelligent. That's the most important thing. Not experience, but intelligence for me. Gotta get a new coach, Genie. Salute the Kobe minute that passed 2 minutes ago. We must get a new coach. We can't do this with him anymore. I know you probably don't want to play him another 2 years to sit at home, but that's the cost of hiring bad coaches. You gotta start hiring smart, good coaches. Not just good politicians that know how to sell themselves, but people that actually know what the hell they're doing, man. Do not let nobody come in with a slick talk saying, I know this, I know that. If they can't prove it on a basketball floor, if they can't impress the intelligent minds that you have in your organization, your scouts, if they can't impress those guys and your stars, do not hire them. Because I can tell you right now, Darvin came in and said all the right things. He's a politician. He's a people person. He knows how to make, and all of that crap was con. He was a con artist. People call him Darvin Scam for a reason. He scammed his way into that place, selling himself as one thing, came here and was something completely different. Facts over feelings and lies. None of that was real. What he really was a coach didn't know what the hell he was doing, but was a hell of a politician. And that, my friends, irritating to consider when we see where we at right now, and we see how little he contributed to our success and how much he contributed to our failure. Fire Darvin Ham. And do it now. Right after game 4, rather. Right after game 4. Do not wait. Send a message. And so that's my opinion, man. That's what I have to say, man. We got one more game to play. I do not expect to win it. I think this team lost everything it had in regards to its gall in the first half of this basketball game. I think it showed us to be a lack of a disciplined type of team. A team that can get a big lead, but will need the help of the team that it's going against in order to keep it. They have to make decisions that hurt themselves, and you can't do that against the Denver Nuggets. That's never going to be what Denver does for you. And quite honestly, I don't think Denver's played all that great in this series. But I didn't think they had to, because they played up against a team that not only didn't believe, but wasn't intelligent enough nor disciplined enough to even compete with them. So they didn't have to play their best ball. So that is exactly what comes to mind, man. I don't think we should bring back Vanderbilt or Wood for game 4. I don't see any reason to do that. Let those guys have a healthy offseason. They're not coming back to help anything, not this year. And there's moves to make, man. There's moves to make. I do not want to see us sitting on our hands in the offseason. If you think bringing in a guy like Trae Young is the move, then do it. You know what I mean? I'm not I'm not super thrilled about having him be the third guy on a Bron AD team, but I do think a big change could be a great thing. But coming back with this unit next year, no. If I can be as frank as possible with everyone who follows me, simply no. Don't do it. It has a collective mind that is not strong enough to beat some of the top teams in this league. And if we're not strong enough to beat some of the top teams in this league, then we really don't need to be calling ourselves a contender. We need to be rebuilding. So no, we don't come back with the same unit next year. I don't know what exactly changes should be made. We'll have to really study and think hard and long about that. Besides firing the coach, I do think there should be some personnel changes, though. I do think some of these guys should be on different teams next year. I'm certain of that. Who? We'll figure it out. But I want some real changes in this Laker uniform, man. I want some new guys, because these guys can't beat Denver, man. They just can't. So that's my reaction to Game 3, man. We will watch Game 4 on Saturday at 5:30. I'm pretty sure the broomsticks will be necessary. Maybe we get a little gentleman sweep going, but I at this point, if I'm being completely frank with everybody, I'm not interested in false hope. You lose 11 straight times to the same damn team. I don't really need to win a game just to get beaten in Game 5 or to win 2 games just to get beaten in Game 6. You're not good enough to beat this team, man. However you slice it. If they're healthy, you probably going to lose. And it's not even about probably anymore. It's 11 straight times. You're certain to lose. So that's where we're at, man. 11 times ain't no fluke, man. 11 straight basketball games to the same damn squad, y'all. Jeannie needs to make some changes to this organization. I don't know what she's gonna do, but she would be doing the wrong thing if she come back with this group. I'm telling you, if she come back with all this, she gonna come up with the same result next year, man. So I hope she hears me and hears me good when I say I don't know exactly what to do, but I do know a lot should be done. A whole lot should be done. And Rob Pelinka you got to sell yourself on being somebody who put together a unit that can work, man. Some of your tendencies and some of the things that you look for, I'm not seeing the strength. I'm not seeing the strength. How much of that is Darvin Ham misutilizing what it is you put together? I really don't know. But I gotta say, man, I want Rob's vision to be of a stronger bunch, a stronger mind. You're Kobe Bryant's friend, bro. So you know what you need to put together to best represent Kobe Bryant's legacy on this franchise. This, for what you did right here and what came together last year in some of these units, they had their strengths, but they did not give us that Mamba, man. We need that Mamba. We need you to show us that you know what time it is when it comes to this purple and gold. It ain't just putting together a nice little basketball team full of guards, can lay the ball up and all that. You need to put together some dogs, man. Some real dogs. Smart ones. And if that means moving some big pieces around to find those dogs, I would suggest it, to be honest with you. I would. Because at this point, 11 straight times to the Denver Nuggets, bro. Darvin ain't the only one got to fall on that sword. Bron and AD ain't the only ones affected by that. This is your team you put together that did this. 11. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. I am not surprised. I'm not even really disappointed because I had extremely low expectations for this series. There was one point I told you guys that I did not want to see us get beat by the Denver Nuggets. I would rather have the lottery pick that came with losing in the play-in tournament. But I think in some weird way, this has really helped give us a broader scope for what it is we actually have. If we would have lost in the play-in tournament, and got the lottery pick, I'd have been pleased because you got the lottery pick. But in this situation, I get to really see exactly what I have. And that's what I think I got from this. I know what I have here, man. And maybe Vanderbilt would help a little bit in some key areas. But the overall spirit of this collection of people, I needed to see them go up against Denver in these last 3 games to really understand exactly how little I believe in them and how important it is to break this up. I don't think I would have felt that way if we would have lost to Sacramento or something. I don't think so. I'm actually seeing the fruit in watching this series. This series taught us plenty, man. It's taught me a lot. So, that's pretty much what I gotta say, man. That's my reaction. I know I got wordy with this one, but I don't think this team has done anything to make me feel any different about them than I did in the preseason when I told you this is a mediocre squad. It's a mediocre unit. It still is. And we got one more game of their nonsense, and I hope it's the last time I see a whole lot of them at this point. That's really how I feel, man. I asked them to get my respect, earn my respect as a Laker fan, earn the respect from these people who call themselves Laker daddies. And they came out and got demoralized and mistreated more so than they had even before the series had started. This is a new layer of domination that was far worse than the other. Not only did they call themselves Laker daddies before this series started, but now they've reinforced it in a much more strong way that they are in fact the Laker daddies. And for that, I want some, if not all, of the people who let that be the case off of my team. I really do. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.